My name is Neil Thompson, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Sen and all of you across the world to tonight's teleseminar. Mr. Sen has been discussing in these past teleseminars the need to have a paradigm shift, the need to change in order to reflect the new circumstances that we desire. And, I remember going on numerous international trade missions with Mr. Sen. And one in particular I remember was to Hong Kong, Taipei, and Guangzhou, mainland China. And it was with a delegation of First Nations from all across Canada. And this was an exploratory mission, and it was to explore trade opportunities for the First Nations of Canada. And now you have to understand, the delegation was spending up to 10 days with Mr. Sen. And throughout those 10 days, they were being empowered, and they were seeing how business is done internationally. But the biggest effect of these trade missions was the paradigm shift, or the raised belief level of the participants. And I remember shortly after this trade mission, we visited a First Nation who had sent their economic development officer to the trade mission. And when we arrived, we had a meeting with the chief and council, and we were discussing the programs and the plans for the community. And very shortly into the meeting, I could see the chief couldn't wait any longer. And he enthusiastically asked Mr. Sen, "What happened to our economic development officer? He is not the same anymore." What happened was the economic development officer had a paradigm shift. He saw a new world and a new horizon for his people. He had raised his belief level, and a new vision for his economic development project was born. And so with all the theoretical knowledge, this paradigm shift couldn't have taken place. It was Mr. Sen's raising the belief level. And that is what Mr. Sen does with his teachings. He raises your belief level and to live your heart's desires, to do, be, and have whatever you really want in life, to change your paradigm. So, among the many questions that we have received, and we will handle as we go along, we had a very interesting question came up this week from Mr. Sen. And the question is, does karma play a role? Or in other words, does it create conflict in the vision and sabotage success? So I'll repeat that question. Does karma play a role? Or in other words, does it create conflict in the vision and sabotage success? So Mr. Sen, he'll answer this question, and then we'll continue on with tonight's topic, how to vision a successful life with a raised belief level. So I'll welcome Mr. Sen to tonight's call.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much. I remember that meeting with that chief. He was half smiling. He didn't know what happened.
Yes.
Yeah, he was bewildered.
Well, he couldn't wait to
know that. I didn't know personally that was happening. The whole paradigm shift. The community changed.
Yes.
The nation changed. They started building their own homes, and they've even formed a corporation in Hong Kong. Now, let's go back to the question. Does karma play a role? Or, in other words, does it create conflict in the vision and sabotage success? That's a very interesting question, because most people don't really realize, and I don't think 2 or 3 people, if you meet in a room, they'll have the same definition of karma. Everybody has their own idea of karma. Let us go get one thing clear, and let us be on the same page, as they say. What do we mean by karma? Like I said, everyone seems to have a different definition of karma, or idea what karma means to them. Like I went to a New Age restaurant, and there was a sign, big sign, tipping is good karma. Now that is karma being exploited. Karma doesn't mean fate or destiny. Karma simply means action, is work. Karma is a Sanskrit word which is, and karma phal, the fruits of karma, means reaction. Every action has a reaction. So most of us call the reaction karma instead of the action as karma. For example, if I throw a stone in a still pond, that is an action of mine. The reaction is there is going to be ripples from the point the stone dropped. These ripples will travel and go right to the edge of the pond. And then when it hits the edge, it will start coming back towards the center, and then again go back towards the edge. Most people look at the ripples and call it karma. The act of karma is not the ripples. It is the act of throwing the stone. So when we vision, that is the act. The reaction is the manifestation. So the question is, does it conflict in the vision or sabotage success? As a matter of fact, if you go to page 70 of the law of Ancient Secrets of Success, I give in the middle, I give a section called the law of cause and effect. And there I give, when the mind, one of the paragraphs it says, the release from the iron grip of karma, or from the world of effects, is the secret of success. It is simple and easy to perform. It is living in the wisdom of cause, or absolute, whatever you want to call it. It is living from the center and not from the circumference, as you'll experience now as we read on. So page 70 of Ancient Secrets of Success gives a clear answer to your question. Does karma play a role, or in other words, does it create conflict in the vision and sabotage success? No, nothing can create conflict other than yourself. The vision is the cause. Most people look at the ripples and call it karma. The act of karma is not the ripples. It is the act of throwing the stone. It is the act of visioning is karma. The manifestation is the effect. So when we vision, that is the act, the ripples are the process of manifestation. The vision, I repeat again and I repeat again, the vision is the cause. Dropping the stone is the cause. The effect is manifestation of the ripples. We can change the destiny of the ripples. Do you know that? We can change the destiny of the ripples by a different karma, a different action, by throwing a stone at the edge of the pond or in a different spot, and that will change the effect of the first throwing of the stone. We have the power to control our world. There is no such thing as fate or destiny or kismet. We make it. Our present conditions are an effect of our visioning of the past. Our circumstances are the ripples. It only shows us what we've been thinking or visioning, voluntarily or involuntarily. That depends on how you think. We can change it by changing our vision. And changing the vision is karma. It's action. Karma does not sabotage. It is the mind and our belief level that sabotage. One thing we are all certain about. We cannot vision a life that we cannot believe in. We cannot vision what we cannot imagine. imagination stirs up desire and awakens our senses. Our success and failure in life depends on our capacity to imagine. I sent a tweet out lately. Imagination is the greatest of all spiritual acts. Our desire, do you realize that our desire is made with our imagination? Our dreams, our waking dreams, daydreams are our imagination. We must unleash our imagination and expand our desire. To do that, we must have a raised belief level. Now, how to expand our imagination and create fantastic desires will be the subject matter of tonight. This is just a prelude. Tonight, like all other nights that we have held these teleseminars, we'll talk about three things: imagination, vision, and raising your belief level. And fourth one is painting a picture of a life that we desire. By the way, you cannot put any value to that. It is priceless. This is not an entertainment. This is intoxication. This is ecstasy. This is a lifelong practice. This is the quenching of the thirst for life. Remember we said, I've come to quench the thirst for life. We have come to quench a thirst. Yes, some of us have pursued success for a long time. Like the thirsty deer in the forest. Like the thirsty deer in the forest. And what does the deer do? Looking for water. Especially in the summer when there's no water. Then when it hears the thunder in the sky, it gets delighted with the prospect of rain and quenching the thirst. Sometimes there is thunder and no rain. Sometimes a little rain which gets soaked up in the dry land, not enough to quench the thirst of the deer. And so is the thirst of consciousness in this world. It is always thirsty for something more. And then when it thinks it has found that something, it turns out to be different. It hears of books and videos and classes and seminars. It turns out to be unsatisfying. So life becomes a struggle, a series of disappointments. Just because we bought the seminar at a high price, we don't want to admit that we didn't get much out of it because we look like fools. We justify that expense. We justify our decision. And then secretly inside, we know nothing has changed in our life. The realities and our circumstances. Has it changed? If not, then we must justify it. We must move on and pursue the building of our life, our happiness. Most people become dejected, indifferent, disappointed. I have met many people. I've been to many of these seminars. Even the question one fellow asked me in one gentleman, a correspondent, asked me, why are so many people skeptics? I told him there are no skeptics. There's people who want clarified questions. They want answers. They're not clear. And we have to give it to them. And instead of being intoxicated with life, they become indifferent to life. while all the time our consciousness thirsts. Even when wallowing in the disappointments and indifference. And then there's a search for truth. Then success becomes an entertainment. If they hear the same thing from the teacher over and over again, they feel bored. Oh, you tell this story every time. They say, oh, I've heard this story so many times. Tell me something new. You know something? Unless you know the tables, you cannot do any sums, any mathematics. Unless you know how to find the x in algebra, the unknown, you will never, all the theories and changing and other stories, you won't get it. So if you think that I'm telling you the same thing over and over again, I am so. And it is with a purpose. It is with the purpose that you will be on the right track. I'm not here to entertain you with new stories. I'm here to show you how you can build a vision for your life with a raised belief level. The teacher does not proceed till the student has mastered the message and has made it their being. When the student becomes the message, then the teacher is successful. Success is a study. It is a meditation of living. It's a lifelong pursuit. It is not done in a classroom. It is done from the living room to the bedroom to on the plane, everywhere. Success cannot be taught. It has to be acquired. And the first thing the student must do is empty their cup for teaching to be poured in. Then the student must be prepare themselves to absorb the teachings. I'll give you a little story. There was an American, I'm saying an American because from America it is very hard to come to Tibet. Just before this is a story before Dalai Lama left Tibet. An American went down to Tibet in Lhasa, the Forbidden City. And he wanted to get the initiation from a master. And so what happened, he went to the master, knocked at his door and asked him, I've come all the way from New York City. I traveled places. There is no direct flight there, and I have to trek over mountains and over caves and just lived in caves. There's no motels on the way either. So he said, I want initiation. I said, no, go away, you're not ready. I've come all the way. I'm not going back without initiation, without the secret. He sent him away. So this gentleman came every day seeking the answer, seeking the secret. Finally, this monk, he said, come, have tea with me. We are going to have a tea ceremony. So he said, he has softened a bit. Now I'm ready. See, I am stubborn. I will not give up. So he goes to the tea ceremony. Tea ceremony is mainly an elaborate ceremony of cleansing. To pour a small cup of tea without sugar or milk or cream or anything. To make that tea, to clean everything from the floor of the room to the walks, the steps, everything. It is a ritual. It's actually the cleansing of the mind. And then when the tea was made, the master kept pouring the tea in the cup. The cup was on a saucer, beautiful saucer, and on a coffee table. And he started pouring the tea and talking to this would-be student. And the cup got filled. And the cup overflowed to the saucer. The saucer got filled and then fell on the coffee table. The tea went to the coffee table. And the master continued pouring and talking to him. This student didn't want to interrupt the master. Finally, he couldn't help it. He said, "Stop, stop. You'll spoil the beautiful rug your coffee table is on." The master smiled and laughed. And he said, "If you don't empty your cup, how am I going to fill it? You already came full. You have no room to take my teachings. It'll fall on the rug. You'll spoil the rug." You see, this is what happens to most of us. When I talk to you of the same subject over and over, today is the 11th time I'm speaking to you in this series of seminars. And the subject matter is the same. And some of you want to hear it later. It is not, your absorption will not be hearing it later. Or now. Your absorption of this message will depend on your attitude. You can't wait for the message. You want to hear right, live, resonate, and then can refresh your mind later by listening to it over and over again. The most important act of all day long of our life is the pursuit of success, the pursuit of raising our belief level. Nothing could be more important than that. Could it? How could it be anything more important? Because if we have a raised belief level, we would not have the problems that we do have, that we have to tend to every day and deprive ourselves from this seminar to make more money, to take care of health, to do this, take care of children. You know something? When you have made raising your belief level priority number one, then you're on the right track. And nothing could bore you. You could sit through for hours because nothing could be more important. That is why the masters of both the East and the West, who first prepared the student to be ready to drink the ecstasy of life, a life longing to embrace life. That is why the masters of both East and West, what is success? To reach out and exceed its capacity and touch the ends of the universe. The first step is to empty one's cup. The second step is to go to the pond of the four proclamations and see your face and give that roar that you are a lion and not a goat. I'm going to repeat the story again. This is the fourth or fifth time I'm telling you the story. There is more to this story than you will ever find out. This is a story of our life. There was a lioness. I'll repeat the story for those of you who have come in today and for those of you who already heard it many times, and you will have a refreshing view of the big story again. This lioness was shot by the hunters and dragged off, and they left a little cub behind. Just a teeny-weeny little cub. The goats in that neighborhood, in that forest, took pity on this lion cub and brought it up as their own, brought it up as a goat, this cub bleated like a goat, ate leaves and grass like a goat, hopped like a goat, and it thought it looked like a goat. And one day, a huge, magnificent lion with a magnificent mane, stood on the hillock and gave a roar. All the goats ran for their lives. Helter skelter everywhere. But this lion cub realized that he has nothing to be afraid of. Something inside him told him. And he stood still and looked at this magnificent creature, half recognizing it. And this big lion took large strides and slow strides and came up to the lion, nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball. The lion cub did not get frightened, a little intimidated. He said, "What? What are you behaving like a goat for? Why do you eat grass and leaves and not meat like a lion?" This lion cub said, bleated and said, "I am a goat. I eat leaves and grass." He said, "No, you're a lion. You don't bleat. You roar." And he said, "No, I'm a goat. I bleat." And he bleated in protest. So the lion took the cub to the pond where he drank his water every day, the still pond nearby, and said, "Look at my face and look at the reflection of my face in the pond." He says he did. And he said, "Now look at your face, as your face reflected in the pond." He said, he looked. Then he saw the similarity. Then he realized that really what he was fighting against, his belief level was raised. There was a tremendous paradigm shift. His self-esteem went up from a goat to a lion. And he roared and he said, "I am a lion." You see, when I say you have to go to the pond of the four proclamations, that lion cub went to that pond every day since it was a baby to have a drink of water, saw his reflection every day, but did not see a lion. He saw a goat. He saw what the others were. We are lions. You wouldn't be in this teleseminar if you were not a lion. There are millions out there who are not in this teleseminar, and this teleseminar is of no charge, no cost, even not a long distance required if you're listening to webcast. This is about you. This is not about me. The second step is to go to the pond of the four proclamations, as I said, and see your face and roar that you're not a lion, not a goat. You're a lion. A lion is the king of the forest. You're not a mediocre human being. Why is it so difficult to teach success by raised belief level? People fight for their limitations. They love to stay where they are, even if it means suffering through till they die. The third step is to jump off the boat. In Ancient Secrets of Success for Today's World, there's a story that when you cross the river, you get a boat, you cross the river. When you go to the other bank, if you don't reject the boat and jump off the boat and jump on that bank of the river, you have not crossed the river. You might as well have stayed on the other side of the bank and not bothered with getting a boat and rowing across the river. You have to jump off the boat. People that are scared. You read books, we go to seminars, we go to teleseminars, and then say, now I'm going to create a vision. You can't create a vision because you're afraid, because it might be too big. Why? Why can't we create a vision of being a multimillionaire, of having romances, having relationships, giving lectures around the world, walking across the Seine River with your love? Not across the Seine River, along the banks of the Seine River in Paris, along the Danube in Budapest, along the banks of the Ganges in Calcutta. Believe me, I used to go to banks of Ganges in Calcutta, sit on the bench, and dream. This dream was I'm living it now. As a little boy, I have a picture. One day I'll show it to you in one of the webinars. I went back and I sat on the bench, looked across the river, Ganges River. The sun was setting. Little dinghy boats were there. And I heard a little boy, a man saying, to me, I saw a little boy, that was me, saying, you can't stay here, you have to go back. But that's where I sat down on the bench, cracked peanuts, shells, had peanuts, and dreamt of what I'm doing right now. I'm living my dreams. When I was a boy in the Ganges, I had just enough money to buy a little small bag of unshelled peanuts. That was my greatest joy. This is what it is. You have to jump off the boat. That is a traumatic experience, I must tell you. The third, and what you have to understand. I'm going to tell you, this is so important. One of my favorite pieces of poem is called High Flight. It was composed by John Gillespie McGee. He was an American. During the Second World War, before America joined the war, they were neutral. And they saw some of the Americans were seeing what was happening out there. They crossed over the Canadian border and joined the Canadian forces to engage themselves in this horrific war, the atrocities that was being created. And one of them was a young man, I think 18 or 19 years old. And he was a pilot. He became a part of the Royal Canadian Air Force, or Royal Air Force at that time it was. And he took a Spitfire, went up to 30,000 feet above sea level. And he composed this poem and sent it to his parents. At the back of the poem, when he composed this poem, he wrote, he composed the poem at 30,000 feet and finished the poem when he landed on Earth. He says, and he died at the same age 19. That's the only poem we know of that he had composed. And this poem it just touches every cell of my being. I compose poem and I feel, what a poet. He tore out his soul and gave it to us on a platter. He said, this poem reads, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter silvered wings. Sunward I have climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence, hovering over there. I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace. where never lark or ever eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark or ever eagle flew. And while the silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. John Gillespie McGee, Jr. One of my favorite lines is this. He says, "Oh, I've slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies and laughed the silvered wings. Sunward have climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of." We all must say that before we go. So let's understand, how can we do things that you have not dreamed of? The 4 essential ingredients to visioning. How many times did I say, and there's not enough times we can ever say, is of a successful life, for quenching the thirst for life. 1 is the intention. My intention creates my reality. 2, imagination. 3, vision. 4, manifestation. I must repeat, I'll keep on repeating the same old stories to drive the message home that we can have whatever we want to have. We can be whatever we want to be. We can do whatever we want to do. It will become a second nature to us. You must go back and listen to it. Nothing. I must appeal to your good sense. There is nothing more important than raising your belief level, having that paradigm shift, and living a life of ecstasy, romance, riches, relationships, and, believe you me, rejuvenation. You can look young forever. Outer crust tells you what your inner is. All our limitations were there to bring us to where we are now. So don't look at the limitations as impediments. They're like rocket boosters for the spacecraft. When it reaches its orbit, the boosters fall off. Our limitations, all the events of our life, have brought us to where we are now. All the pains, trials, and tribulations were the fuel for our success today. They are. You don't need to complain about that. They are the fuel that has driven us to where we are today. Now those troubles, now they look like wake of a high-speed boat. When you see the distance, a speedboat going, you see a wake, the foam coming at the back. Fantastic. Yet it doesn't move the boat any forward, any faster, or any further. If we look back at our pains, bless it, and say, you brought me here, but never visit me again. I'll have different pains now. From pain of being a man with just $10,000, now I have a pain of being $1 million. Now I invite the pain of being $1 billion. How about that? What drives you? I was watching a Seinfeld show, Now, sometimes, for casual thing, I sometimes watch Seinfeld. And Jerry was supposed to take a polygraphic test, because a lie detector test, because he was going to date this beautiful blonde police officer that watched Melrose Place. And he said, oh, yeah, I watch Melrose Place. And, of course, Elaine said, the person who can teach you how to lie and beat the polygraph would be George Costanza. For those of you who have seen Seinfeld, if not, just take the last line of it. In the coffee shop, George said to Jerry, I can't help you there. I can't teach you how to lie perfectly. When Jerry was leaving the coffee shop, as he was getting out of that, George shouted out, Jerry, if you believe it, it is not a lie. The question is, that line hit me. If you believe it, it is not a lie. Copernicus believed. Columbus believed. And it was not a lie. Galileo believed that the earth goes round the sun. It was not a lie. If you believe it, it's not a lie. However, we are not lying to ourselves about our vision. We are creating a new vision we believe in. That is by raising our belief level, a paradigm shift. Our belief level is our identity, our self-esteem. And our identity is clearly defined by the 4 proclamations. Again, we've come back to the 4 proclamations, and we'll come back to it over and over again. Let's go through the 4 proclamations quickly. The first proclamation says, consciousness creates. Consciousness creates reality. What we are conscious of is real. Now, we know science says the same thing. Consciousness creates reality. The second proclamation proclaims that everything physical and non-physical is consciousness. Every substance, organic and inorganic, is consciousness. The second proclamation's primary purpose is to raise our belief level that we do not have to depend on anything else outside us. That's where all the problems come in. We can only depend on our consciousness to bring all the circumstances and the things you need to fulfill your vision. Now, that seems like a tall order for many. For those who believe, those of us who are from Missouri, that means show me actually what you can see, you can have. This proclamation is the powerhouse of self-reliance. This, that everything is consciousness. That thou art. And then the third proclamation is, second proclamation is a hard pill to swallow, especially if you're from Missouri or you're a WYSIWYG kid. What you see is what you get. The truth of the fact is that what you see is what your vision is, and that's what you get. The third proclamation asserts that your individual consciousness is the creative force. Think of it. Your individualized consciousness is the creative force. It is a microcosm, identical to the macrocosm. You are a miniature universe to the big universe. Like the drop of the water of the ocean. In the drop of the water of the ocean is the entire whole ocean. All the qualities of the ocean is in that drop. It is the play of the drop in the ocean. And the drop of the water comes from the ocean. every incident in our life, good or bad, is our marching forward to our vision. There are no failures. Only failure is standing still. Don't be disappointed with bad experiences. It's not going to help us unless we have learned from it. Then again, all those experiences have brought you here now. So that your individual consciousness is the creator. The fourth proclamation is a confirmation that the drop of the water of the ocean is the ocean. There is no difference between ocean and the wave of the ocean. It is only a matter of name. A wave is as much an ocean as the ocean is. It says, I am that. Every breath of ours, repeat it. I am that. Now, why do we go back to the four proclamations over and over again? That's the only way to maintain that belief level till it becomes our being. Then just like rocket boosters, they'll fall off too. Then you'll only remember one thing, your breath. I am that. Then you too can feel like John Gillespie McGee Jr. Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth. And dance the skies and laugh the silvered wings. Sunward have climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of, and so on. However, every sentence. So, this is what, let me give you a model. Let us set a vision. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a vision to use as a model. I have a vision. Every one of us has at least, I have a vision, and this is my vision now for next year. I have not set the time, it'll come, but I've been visioning this for a long, long time. I have a vision. I know every one of us, inside us, there's at least one book, and the rest of the world wants to learn from you, if not many. And I have a vision that I will be in the mountains of Chiang Mai, and maybe in the mountains in Kathmandu, in the Himalayas. And the Chiang Mai is in Thailand. Not far from there, we can go snuggle in Kathmandu and it's almost like Shangri-La in Lost Horizon. And in a villa where I'll have students for 2 weeks with me. We will go to the ancient secrets of success to build a vision for their books, like ancient times, where we'll practice the four proclamations, and I will show them how to speak to the world, how to become speakers, to promote their message to all the cultures of the world. English would do, but how to have cultural interactions. I'll show them how they cannot train the voice. You cannot train your voice. Your voice only depicts your personality. Your voice, you cannot. That's the misnomer. So when you raise your belief level, your voice will change along with it. Now, giving an example, you will see if you have a nasal voice, you will get a voice. Your voice should come not from the nose. Your voice should come from your belly button. That's where the voice originates from the depths of your being, where your abdominal brain is, where your subconscious is supposed to be. I'll show them how to speak. Speaking is the highest art form in the world. It is with speech that the universe was created. It is with speech you move nations and people and minds and human beings. You can write a book, and then you need the speech to promote your book. It is the word of power that creates power. You can be sitting in your room, and your voice could be reverberating throughout this whole planet, like right now mine is. How every sentence has a rhythm, every word has a note, and how patience is required in speech. How every word needs its time to penetrate the heart of the listener and bring about the chemical changes to confirm their changed belief level. Every word needs its time and should not be tripped by the words that are about to follow that word. I will teach them how to write books. And if they are already authors, I'll show them how they can make their books like lifeboats in a stormy ocean to bring the readers to the shore of their vision. I'll show them that life is romance, nothing short of romance. We have come here to romance. What is money for without romance? We make money to romance and have relationships. Whether they are writing a book on poetry or building a house, or it is all based on romance. A house is as much a romance as poetry is. Romance is the lifeblood of any book, be it physics, geometry, metaphysics, empowerment. The reader is the heart, and the heart waits for the blood to come in, the blood flow. And it is your book that is the flow of the blood to the heart of the reader. And the heart, it redistributes the blood back to the body. I'll show them in that 2 weeks how they can do marketing with a tremendous power of outsourcing all their work while they can play. They can romance. How they can outsource their book from making the cover of the book to the marketing of the book can easily be done. Easily, I call it 3 E's. Easily, effortlessly, and enjoyably. How the greatest of the great authors have become successful. I will show them how they can be sitting at home or any place in the world and communicating the whole world about their book. How to talk on the phone or through the computer webcasts. I'll show them how to vision from the conception of the book. You have to conception of the book. You can almost see your readers can't wait to finish one sentence and cannot leave the book aside. Take the book to the hand of the reader, how to befriend the reader and make the reader their friend. I have a vision. I'll show them how to become financially independent just by writing a book and promoting it with all the great facilities of today's world. To bring my good old friend Franz Kafka back. Franz Kafka saying, the great man. What does he say? One of the greatest European thinkers. He says, you do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen. Simply wait. Do not even wait. Be quiet, still and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you to be unmasked. It has no choice. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. I'll continue this next Wednesday. We've almost come to the end of the hour. Do not skip the next time. We're going to go to the creating the impossible dream. Thank you and good night.
Thank Thank you very much, Mr. Sen, for this life-changing talk. I'm looking forward to learning from you in the mountains of Chiang Mai, Thailand. That really sounded fantastic. I love that vision. I would like to remind everyone, once again, it is very important that you have a copy of Ancient Secrets of Success for today's world, and to read it over and over again, especially the stories of the lion and the goat and the crossing over the river. It not only gives you the know-how and knowledge of success, it tells you how to practice success. And that is the difference between this book and most of the other books in the world out there. So it gives you the practice of success. So if you don't have Ancient Secrets of Success yet, we highly recommend you get this book as soon as you can, and you can order it online by going to www.raiseyourbelieflevel.com. That's raiseyourbelieflevel.com. So next Wednesday, we'll continue on with Mr. Sen's life-changing teleseminars, and you should re-listen to tonight's teleseminar when you receive the email in the next few days about tonight's recording. And please forward this email to your friends and your relatives and anybody else in the world you would like to share it with. And also, don't forget to get them to join into next week's teleseminar, and they can listen from anywhere in the world online with no long-distance charges. So good night, adieu, Aveda Zane, and thank you much, Mr. Sen.
That's Spokojnej nocy in Russian.
Okay, yes, okay. I'll let you do that one. Okay, good night. Bye.